Divorce is a surprise. Showed up at the hotel where my wife was cheating. This story's a bit of a ride. Long and all kinds of messed up. I'm typing this out on my phone, so I'll apologize in advance if anything's off. Honestly, I've hit a point where I just don't know what the hell to do anymore. I'm lost in this whole mess. Let me give you a little background. I'm 40, and my wife, she's 37. We've been married for 14 years now. We've got two amazing kids. A daughter who's 12 and a son who just turned 9. Things were rocky between us in the early days of our marriage, no sugarcoating that. But we weathered the storm and came out stronger for it. We tied the knot young, probably before we were fully ready, at least in the maturity department. Still, we were crazy about each other and felt like we could take on anything life threw our way. Looking back now, I'm not sure if that was confidence or just plain wishful thinking. Anyway, my wife's been a manager at a big advertising firm for the past 2 years, and I've been working in engineering for 6. Both of our careers pay well, and we've built a pretty comfortable life for our family. We used to be a close-knit bunch. No matter how hectic things got, we always carved out time to be there for our kids and make memories that'd stick with them. I've always made it a point to be present, no matter how slammed I was with work. Truth is, I see myself as a solid dad and a decent husband. Sure, I've dropped the ball a few times when it came to my wife, but I've always tried. I'd do anything for her. So when I found out she'd been having an affair, one that had been going on for a while, it absolutely wrecked me. And that brings me to how I found out. Over time, I started noticing something was off. She was distant, detached. Honestly, the last 2 years before I caught on were probably the roughest in our marriage. It was like nothing I did was good enough anymore. She kept comparing me to her boss. And yeah, I've since learned why. She'd throw little comments out, like, "That's not how he would have handled it." I couldn't figure out what she was thinking half the time, but apparently her boss could. If I didn't take the initiative to plan date nights or show her I still cared in some romantic way, her boss made sure his wife felt special. Why wasn't I that thoughtful? I'd ask her what I could do to bring the spark back, to reconnect. But her answer was usually something like, "You should already know. Don't ask, just do it." So I started digging, doing research, picking up books about relationships, trying to find a roadmap, something to guide me. I figured if I didn't have the answers, maybe someone out there did. But whatever I tried either got me a lukewarm thanks, or left her disappointed all over again. She never used to be this way. So I kept thinking maybe it was me. I was the problem, and I needed to fix myself. What I didn't know was that the whole time, I wasn't the one falling short. We were real close with her boss and his wife. They had kids too, and funny enough, our kids got along like best buddies right from the start. We used to invite their whole family over for barbecues, take them along on park trips, and spend afternoons together at the arcade playing games and just having a blast. They'd been to our place more times than I could count, and we'd spent plenty of evenings at theirs too. So it just made sense that we all ended up pretty tight. I even opened up to her boss now and then, especially when things in my marriage got rough. He always seemed to have solid advice, and honestly, I thought he was a good guy, someone you could trust. But then things started to unravel. I had gotten emotionally worn out from constantly trying to meet my wife's expectations. It felt like I was chasing some version of myself she wanted, and somewhere along the line our marriage just fell apart. What really threw me was how cold she started acting. Up until then, I truly believed we were doing okay, maybe not perfect but solid. One night, we were in bed, and she was beside me, laughing and texting someone like a teenager with a crush. I got curious, so I leaned over just a little to see who had her so giddy. The second I moved, she yanked her phone away like I was some kind of threat. Her mood flipped instantly. She looked at me, all fired up, and snapped, "What are you doing?" I said I was just trying to see what was so funny. She shot back that it was none of my business and stormed off to the bathroom. That's the moment when a gut feeling settled in. I didn't have proof yet, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. It felt like more than just harmless texting. The next day, I made the mistake of bringing it up directly. I asked her straight out if she was having an affair. She lost it, denied everything, said I was out of line. At that time, I couldn't check her phone. It was locked down tight. But I needed answers. I kept pressing, asked her to let me see it. She refused at first, but later that night she finally handed it over, clearly not happy about it. When I went through it, nearly every message between her and certain people was gone. Whole threads just wiped. And the ones that were still there? They didn't make much sense, some were all over the place, others just seemed fake. I gave the phone back without saying much, and we didn't talk about it again for another month. That's when I got a buddy of mine to help check it out. He knew his way around phones and managed to dig up some deleted messages. Turns out she'd already switched to another phone by then and was barely using the one she gave me. But even with the little bit my friend recovered, it was enough. The pieces added up. She was having an affair. And yeah, it was with her boss. I didn't confront her right away, though. I knew if I hit her with it then and there, she'd spin it somehow and make me doubt what I knew was true. So I waited. Played it cool. Inside, though, I was falling apart. The only thing I could think about was how this mess was going to mess up the kids. It was gut-wrenching. I ended up breaking down in front of my buddy. I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I still wasn't ready to give up on my marriage. So, about 5 days later, I picked up a book called How to Help Your Spouse Heal from an Affair. I know, it might sound ridiculous, maybe you're shaking your head right now, but I was grasping at anything that might fix things. I even thought maybe if I gave it to my wife, she'd finally snap out of whatever this was. Deep down, I just wanted her back. I wanted to save what we had. I had planned to sit down and talk with her that Sunday, try to work things out like adults. But she told me something came up at work, some emergency, and not to wait up. That didn't sit right with me, so I called her workplace just to confirm the story. No one picked up. Turned out they don't even open on Saturdays. I tried calling her cell too. No answer. She finally strolled in around 2 a.m. Saturday morning. First thing she did was jump in the shower, then crawled into bed like nothing happened. I asked her why she got in so late, and she brushed me off, saying, "I told you not to wait for me." Like that was supposed to make it all okay. I was fed up. Just sick of the lies. I didn't even bother giving her the book. What was the point? I was hurting, and she didn't care. She saw me falling apart, and it didn't seem to matter to her one bit. That's when I got desperate. I reached out to her boss's wife. I wanted answers, needed some kind of truth to hold onto. Looking back, I don't regret it for a second. Her boss's wife was just as blindsided as I was. She had no clue either. She even wanted to confront her husband, but I told her he'd probably just lie and get sneakier, just like my wife had done. So, we met up at her place and went over what little evidence I had. She wanted more proof, and honestly, so did I. So we made a plan. She'd keep an eye on her husband, I'd do the same with my wife. We'd gather what we could and compare notes. Turned out it didn't take her long at all. Her husband wasn't even trying to cover his tracks. The guy was so arrogant he didn't even bother deleting the messages on his phone. Once we read through them, all the little things I had noticed before finally clicked into place. That's when the whole ugly truth came out. They'd been carrying on this affair for 48 months. We were both furious. She wanted revenge. I did too. They hadn't just been sneaking around, we found out they'd been sleeping together everywhere. Her house. My house. Fancy hotels. Business trips. It was disgusting. They even sent each other pictures. We saw them but agreed not to dwell on that, no point in torturing ourselves more than we already had. We both craved payback, but we didn't want to stoop to their level. No revenge affairs. Just justice. If they wanted each other so bad, they could have each other. So we each started drawing up divorce papers around the same time, funny enough. We played it cool. Our spouses had no idea we knew anything. But behind the scenes, we were getting everything ready. And sure enough, once everything was lined up, they were back at it again. This time, we were ready. Working together, the boss's wife and I figured out exactly where they'd be. They had booked a weekend at some hotel not too far from home, but far enough for them to think they were being slick. I went there in person. Brought the sheriff with me. I waited in the lobby while the sheriff got everything lined up. Then my wife was called down from her room. She came down wearing a bathrobe and from the look of it, not much else underneath. She panicked the moment she saw me. Started asking what I was doing there, freaking out. The sheriff just calmly asked for her name and ID, getting ready to serve her. She looked confused but answered yes when the sheriff asked for her name, and just like that, she was served. I gotta admit, watching the shock spread across her face, it felt good. But I wasn't there to gloat. Once it was done, I turned to walk away, content knowing everything was in motion. But she didn't let me leave that easily. She grabbed my arm, tugging on it, demanding answers, wanted to know what the hell was going on. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You had an affair. I'm done. I'm leaving." Simple as that. That's when she lost it. She started screaming, yanking on my arm hard enough that the sheriff had to step in and tell her to let go. She finally did, then started bawling, crying, begging, saying she could explain, saying I had it all wrong, that this was somehow my fault. I wasn't having any of it. I could feel myself getting angry, and I knew if I stayed I'd explode. So I left. Just got in my car and drove home. From what I heard later, she told her boss what had happened and he panicked. Rushed home, thinking maybe he could get ahead of it, but nope, the sheriff was waiting for him too. He got served right at his front door. We didn't give them time to clean up their mess or twist the story. We hit them just as hard and fast as they hit us. Total ambush. And it felt damn good to take back some control. My divorce is set to be finalized in a couple of months. Hers is taking a bit longer, but it's moving. Thing is, neither of them want to go through with the divorce now. Both are dragging their feet, fighting us every step of the way. Their excuse? We never meant to leave our spouses. According to them, it was just sex. Nothing serious. Just a mistake. People have gone through worse and still saved their marriages, they say. They admit they screwed up, but they want a shot at fixing it. I asked my wife flat out, what exactly did you think was going to happen with all this? Her answer? She said she was just going with the flow. Claimed she wasn't acting like herself, that it wasn't who she really is. Said she's changed now. I told her straight up, you're an idiot. And now, people around me are saying I'm the bad guy. They say I'm being heartless for not giving her another chance. But I don't buy it. My kids, they know something went down. We've kept it age appropriate, but they understand enough. And they're on my side. They support me fully, though they've said they wish we could somehow stay together. That part stings. To be honest, I can feel my resolve starting to crack. We're still living under the same roof. She's going to therapy now. She's even reading that book I bought, the one I was gonna give her in the beginning. She keeps telling me she's full of regret, that she'll do whatever it takes to make it right. But I just look at her and say, you're only sorry because you got caught. And really, that's all I need to know. She told me I was bitter. Said I was full of resentment and just couldn't move past the negativity. Later, she apologized for saying it, but I know that's how she really feels deep down. I still talk to her boss's wife now and then. And man, my wife hates that. She thinks I'm planning some kind of revenge affair, or that maybe her boss's wife is the reason I won't give our marriage another shot. She's asked me over and over to cut off all contact with her, just like she supposedly did with her boss. I told her she's out of her mind. We didn't do anything wrong. Why should I suddenly start respecting her opinions now, after everything? Honestly, I think I'm just done. I don't have any respect left for her. She's still trying to talk to me about her process, her reasons for the affair, her thoughts. But to me, it just sounds like a string of excuses. So I don't really engage. Now she wants us to go to therapy together. But I've read enough stories to know how that sometimes goes. The therapist ends up blaming the one who got cheated on. I'm not signing up for that mess. She also wants me to read books about infidelity with her. I just don't see the point. If we're heading for divorce, why pretend we're trying to rebuild something? She's been trying to initiate intimacy too. Told me it wasn't about manipulation, that she just wanted to show me how much she loves me. I stopped her right there and said, you mean you love me now? That's what this is really about. Even people around me, friends, family, my own mom, have started pushing back. They say I'm being too cold. That people make mistakes, and my wife's mistake showed her that she truly does love me. But I told them all the same thing. I'm not anyone's backup plan. I won't be the guy someone settles for after the fantasy crashes and burns. And still, I feel like crap for the way I treat her now. The truth is, I still love her. I do. But there's hate in the mix too. It's a mess. Am I being too harsh? Too unforgiving? She's trying. I can see it. She's doing the therapy, reading the books, trying to connect. But I don't care anymore. Or at least I want not to care. Should I reconsider the divorce? Am I rushing this and setting myself up for regret? That's what people keep telling me. But I don't know. I can't tell what's real anymore. I don't know what to believe. Edit. Thanks to everyone who took the time to reply. I've read through all your comments. Some of you brought up really important points, and it's given me a lot to think about. I'm actually about to sit down and have a real conversation with my wife. I'll keep you all in the loop, but honestly, I've come to the conclusion that divorce is the best decision, for me and for my kids. Reading through stories and posts here has really opened my eyes and helped me sort things out. So here's the latest on everything. Alright, I'm back again, giving this another shot. This is round 2 because my inbox has been blowing up with messages asking for updates. It's been kind of overwhelming, to be honest, but I appreciate that people care enough to check in. I get why folks are curious, so let me try to clear a few things up. First off, my wife and I are actually in a somewhat peaceful spot at the moment. But let me be clear, that doesn't mean we're getting back together. That's not happening. I'm still moving forward with the divorce. The last post I made explained everything in detail, but it got taken down by the auto-moderator, unfortunately. Long story short, she's still pleading for another chance and doing everything she can to prove she's changed. But I just can't give her that. Her affair went on for way too long for me to ever truly move past it. If it had been a one-night slip-up, maybe it would have been different. But 2 years? That's a punch to the gut. That said, I'm not completely heartless. I've been to a few therapy sessions with her because, well, I do still care. I still love her even if we're ending. One of those sessions was actually helpful. It helped me see that she really is sorry. Like genuinely remorseful. She hasn't handled the fallout perfectly, not by a long shot, but I'll give her this. She's been trying. She's really been putting in the effort. But the second session? That one went off the rails. She got mad at me for continuing to talk to the boss's wife, and then started spiraling, afraid I was going to have a revenge affair or something. That was the angriest I've felt through this whole thing. We ended up in a huge argument afterward because I flat out refused to cut off contact with the boss's wife. Eventually, we settled it when I promised her I wouldn't do any kind of revenge cheating. I know I don't owe her that reassurance, but like it or not, we're still married until this whole thing is finalized. I've continued going to therapy with her, just to see how she's doing and if she's really changing. And yes, before you ask, the therapist we're seeing works with both individuals and couples. No, I'm not doing these sessions because I secretly want to fix our marriage. I just want to see for myself how she's progressing. I'll be present when needed, but once the divorce goes through, I'll walk away with my head held high. Oh, and just so you know, the boss's wife is still planning to leave her husband. Her husband's still putting up a fight when it comes to their divorce. But she's just as determined as I am to move on. I'll admit, on the rough days, we lean on each other a bit. We talk. We vent. So here's the latest on everything. Alright, I'm back again, giving this another shot. This is round 2 because my inbox has been blowing up with messages asking for updates. She's a tough, no-nonsense kind of woman. Independent, grounded, and not one to take crap from anyone. As for my kids, they're holding up okay. They understand that just because their mom and I are splitting up doesn't mean we love them any less. Of course, they don't want the divorce, and I don't blame them. But in their own way, at their own level, they get that this is something we have to do. My wife doesn't work at that advertising firm anymore. Not long after I handed her the divorce papers, she quit. She's had zero contact with her old boss since then. At least that's what she tells me. She says she's been on forums, asking for help on how to save our marriage, and that she's been using the advice she got there. When I first started reading through these forums myself, I honestly couldn't understand why anyone would stay with someone who cheated. But now, after watching how hard she's been trying to grow and improve, I sort of get it. She's not some heartless villain. She's a person who seriously messed up and is now trying to be better. She's offered me just about everything you can imagine to try and get another shot. And truthfully, I don't know if I have it in me to go down that road. As we get closer to finalizing the divorce, I felt more and more at peace. Like this really is the right move. We did have a deep talk not long ago. She brought up the idea of trying again after the divorce is settled. Even offered to sign a postnup. And surprisingly, I wasn't completely against it. Not saying I'm planning anything, just that I didn't instantly shut the door. But let's be honest, if anything were to happen, it'd take a lot of time and effort on her part. A long road that I'm not even sure is worth walking. She seems ready to walk it, but I just don't know how that benefits either of us. Honestly, a big part of why I want this divorce is because it feels like the only form of justice I can get, without stooping to her level. I'd rather walk away with my dignity than get even through some cheap revenge. My mom and I finally made amends after I shared more details about what happened. Now that she knows the full story, she's absolutely livid with my wife. Honestly, I don't even know how to handle this part. I wasn't planning on writing anything else until the divorce was final. But today, I'm just plain pissed, and I need to let it out. A lot of you already know that my wife is completely freaked out about the idea of me having a revenge affair. The reason? I'm still in contact with, and occasionally see, the woman whose husband she had the affair with. That alone drives her nuts. And here's the thing. My wife is incredibly insecure. Compared to the other betrayed spouse, she really struggles. That woman? She's younger, gorgeous, used to model, and runs a successful business. She's the kind of person who walks into a room and turns heads. And that just eats my wife alive. She's constantly paranoid that I'm going to cheat on her just to get back at her. And what blows my mind is she actually had the gall to sit me down and give me the two wrongs don't make a right speech. The audacity of that still stuns me. Sure, she's not technically wrong. I don't plan on cheating, not ever. But the hypocrisy makes my blood boil. Every time I go over to see the other betrayed spouse, like I did just yesterday, my wife either turns super sad or unbearably clingy. I've lost count of how many times she's literally thrown herself at me, trying to make sure I don't cheat out of spite. I always turn her down, and that just makes things more tense between us. What gets me is how damn selfish cheaters can be. It's always about their feelings, their pain, while we, the ones they hurt, are left to pick up the mess and somehow keep going. One more thing. Our kids still spend time with the other family's kids, so sometimes I'm over there with them. I never go see the other betrayed spouse without my kids with me. But that doesn't stop my wife from believing I'm secretly sneaking off to sleep with her or something. She really thinks I'm capable of doing what she did, just jumping at the chance to cheat. It's honestly ridiculous. And the other man, the one she had the affair with? He's holed up in their holiday house now, still begging his wife to take him back. I'm not gonna lie, it feels pretty damn satisfying to see him finally face the fallout of what he did. He hasn't dared to threaten me or anything, mostly because I've got way too much leverage on him. He knows I'm still talking to his wife, and that alone keeps him quiet. He's allowed to come see his kids whenever he wants, but he makes sure I'm not around before he shows up. Honestly, I feel bad for the guy. He lost everything and now he's just sitting in the mess he made. And as for my wife, lately, she's been ridiculously apologetic, falling over herself to make things right. Lately, she's been smothering me with affection. And honestly, I've just brushed it off. I'm not in a good place mentally or emotionally, and today we've got another therapy session. I've got this heavy need to unload, to finally let it all out. All the pain, all the anger I've been holding in because of what she did. The rage inside me is getting harder and harder to control. Quick update, just checking in. Not much new to share, but a few things have come up. I've been reading through my old posts and messages, and it really hit me. This place, this community, it's something special. There's so much support here for folks like us. I've also been digging into more reading on infidelity, trying to better understand the whole picture of what happened to me. During one of our recent therapy sessions, my wife asked me to give her more time. She wants a shot at winning me back. She had reason after reason why I should try to at least be open to working on the marriage. Not full-on reconciliation yet, just the idea of trying. But I kept pointing out the same thing over and over again. She's only trying this hard because everything blew up. If she were still seeing the other man, there's no way she'd be putting in this kind of effort. For months, she emotionally wrecked me. And I'm not the kind of guy who lets himself get walked all over, not even by someone I used to love with everything I had. She admitted to what she did. All of it. And she apologized again. She's made more promises than I can count, telling me she's going to make it all up to me, that she wants our marriage to come out of this stronger than it ever was. I asked her flat out if she was ready to deal with my anger, because believe me, I've got a lot of it. She didn't even flinch. She said yes, absolutely, and that I should feel free to vent, to let it all out on her if that's what it takes for me to heal. Most of the time, when I ask her why she cheated, she dodges it with a pile of excuses. But not this time. This time, she looked me in the eye and said there's no excuse. She owned it. Said she was ashamed of what she did and promised she'd spend every single day showing me, not just saying, that she's truly sorry and will never, ever hurt me like that again. Then she started opening up herself. Told me things I hadn't heard before. I realized that, underneath all the lies and betrayal, there was someone dealing with deep insecurities, someone who was jealous of the other betrayed spouse. She said the affair boosted her ego. Made her feel beautiful again. Wanted. Desired. Hearing that, it didn't excuse anything, but it did give me a little more clarity. She admitted straight up that the affair was just a fantasy, something that was never built to last. She said she didn't really think much about the consequences at the time, though every now and then it would cross her mind. Now she says she deeply regrets the whole thing and that the guilt will stay with her for the rest of her life. Honestly, she doesn't think she'll ever be able to fully forgive herself. She told me she felt like she could never measure up to my ex, the woman she betrayed. She said part of the reason she was convinced I'd eventually cheat on her too was because my ex wasn't just beautiful, she carried herself with real dignity. Through all of this, my ex never once lashed out at her, never said anything cruel, never made threats. Not once. Looking back, I realize all of that came from my wife's own insecurities, and maybe it was also about me being hurt and angry after what she did. That's when things took a turn. The therapist looked at me and asked, "What would it take for you to even consider your wife's proposal?" I didn't even have an answer. I just told her the only thing that could fix this would be a time machine. Because what I'm stuck in now doesn't feel like the marriage I signed up for, it feels like a shell of one. The therapist tried to normalize things a bit, saying every marriage goes through rough patches, from infidelity to grief, and it's not about the problems themselves, but how a couple handles them that defines the relationship. I couldn't believe that's where the conversation was going. I told her she should really be focusing on my wife, not on us as a couple. Then she hit me with something unexpected. She said my refusal to engage with logical reasoning might be a big part of our communication issues. I didn't argue. She had a point. On the drive home, my wife and I had a long, uncomfortable talk. She asked me if I felt emasculated because of the affair. That was the first time she'd ever asked me that, and I was honestly caught off guard. I told her, yeah, I did. Then, out of nowhere, she asked me if I'd feel better if I slept with another woman. I told her flat out revenge cheating wasn't on the table. That's not who I am. She went on to explain that she wasn't talking about revenge exactly. She was suggesting a trial separation, one where I could go out, rediscover myself, maybe get my confidence back. Meanwhile, she'd stay faithful and wait for me to be ready to return to the marriage if I ever was. Up until then, I thought she was desperate. But that proposal? That was next level. I told her it didn't make sense. How could it possibly help our marriage if both of us were out there sleeping with other people? She said that if we were separated and the rules were clear, then technically it wouldn't be an affair. I'd be free to date if that's what I needed. I told her straight up what she was suggesting was a huge gamble on her end. But she just shrugged and said, well, we're getting divorced anyway. If this doesn't help, at least I'll get a taste of what the outside world has to offer. That hit me sideways. I flat out said no. It just didn't sound like her at all, completely out of character. But these past few weeks, she's been oddly calm and unusually patient. It's like I'm living with a totally different version of her. Gone is the anxious, insecure woman I used to know. Still, I keep my guard up. I have to for my own peace of mind. But I'd be lying if I said it's easy. Even though she claims she doesn't want the divorce, she's been surprisingly generous throughout the process. I've read plenty of stories about divorces turning ugly, but mine hasn't. It almost doesn't feel real. Trying to make sense of everything has been tough. I just want to say, yes, I'm definitely going through with the divorce. That hasn't changed. And I'm really curious to hear what others think about all this. Update, here I am again. Hey, everyone. Just wanted to share another chapter of this ongoing mess that is my life. But before I dive in, I want to thank those of you who've been reaching out. Your support means a lot. So here's where things stand now. My wife and I agreed to keep things civil and spend the holidays together as a family. Just one last time. It'll be the final holiday we share like this, even though she's still quietly hoping for a different outcome. Me? I'm doing it for the kids. I love them with everything I've got. Our divorce will be finalized sometime in mid-January. For those wondering, we split things right down the middle. Well, mostly. She's actually been really fair, even more than fair in some areas. Part of me wonders if this is some kind of strategy and the other shoe's going to drop. But so far, she's been kind. She told me it's because, in her words, I've been a good husband and an even better father. And because of that, she wants the divorce to reflect that. She thinks I deserve it. That doesn't mean she's walking away with nothing. But yeah, I did come out with a little more than expected thanks to her willingness to be generous. Recently, I made the decision to stop attending therapy sessions with her. I realized it was sending the wrong message, giving her hope where there really wasn't any. She's opened up and told me she still feels this intense pull toward me. She wants to be close again, physically. Ever since I took a step back from this place, and after I opened up to her about how her affair left me feeling like less of a man, unwanted and small, my wife has been coming on to me a lot. And I don't mean occasionally, I mean constantly. The weird thing is, before all this mess, she rarely ever initiated anything physical between us. So yeah, it threw me off. It actually upset me at first. But as time passed, I started to see it a little differently. I came to realize she was trying to address something she knew had hurt me, something that stuck with me more than I'd like to admit. Still, I've turned her down. More than once. But she keeps trying, insisting over and over that she's not doing this to win me back. According to her, she just wants me to feel wanted again, like a man who's still desirable. In the middle of all this, I decided to step away from the other betrayed spouse I'd been talking to. Things between us were starting to get a little too deep, a little too personal, and I wasn't sure how to handle that anymore. And to the person who called me out for basically having a revenge affair, yeah, looking back, you weren't exactly wrong. Truth is, I didn't even see it that way myself until she, this other betrayed spouse, told me she wanted to explore where things could go between us. She said she'd wait until my divorce was finalized before we took it any further. And man, that really caught me off guard. I didn't have a clear answer for her. Still don't. So we agreed to take some space. Put a pause on whatever was happening between us until things settled down. She's a beautiful woman, no doubt about it. But honestly, I don't know if I can return those feelings. I don't even know how to process all that. Someone else suggested that being around her might be affecting her chances of reconciling with her husband. But let me be clear, I've got nothing to do with her decision to walk away from the other man. That was all her. She made that choice on her own. When we're together, we don't sit around bashing our spouses. That's not what this was about. Oh, and the other guy, her affair partner, he actually met up with me recently. Came to apologize face-to-face for everything that happened. Now, this was a guy who always carried himself like he was untouchable, but I could tell the whole situation knocked him down a few pegs. Humbled him real quick. But did I accept his apology? Nope. Not even a little. Maybe that's petty, but I really don't care. I'm not losing any sleep over that asshole. Now here's something I've been wondering. Is it wrong if I sleep with my wife even if we're not actually trying to reconcile? Because honestly, I do miss it, the physical part, sure, but also the closeness, the connection. I miss feeling that bond. Around 18:40 p.m., my wife's been throwing everything she can at me to spark things back up between us. She's pulling out all the stops, new lingerie, flirty texts, unexpected touches, handwritten letters, you name it. And honestly, sometimes it's tough not to give in. She even went so far as to toss out, burn, and replace anything in the house that reminded me of the other guy, without me ever asking. I guess she figured I didn't need that kind of reminder, and truthfully, I didn't care to know where they hooked up. Still, flipping the switch on all these emotions? That ain't something I can just do overnight. And man, I keep asking myself, am I falling for a trap? Is she playing me? And before anybody says I should have kicked her to the curb already, believe me, I tried. But I ended up letting her stay, mostly because it's just less complicated that way until the divorce is finalized. That's where I'm at. Just needed to vent. It finally hit me, like, really hit me. For a while, I felt like I'd thrown away years of my life on someone who wasn't worth it. But when I look back, she did give me some amazing kids and memories I'll carry with me forever. Those moments meant something. They still do. As a man, I'll always treasure that part of the story. But here's the thing, I finally see it now. I can do better. And I will do better. Ever since everything blew up, people have been flooding in with advice, trying to help me make sense of it all. And after all this time, it finally sunk in. I do deserve better than her. She betrayed me, tore me down, and made me feel small the second some other guy started paying her attention. She gave herself, her energy, her time to someone else. And now that I'm finally getting over her, now she wants to fight for us. Now she's all in, doing whatever she can to win me back. Now she wants to pour herself into us. Funny, isn't it? Now she says she wants me happy. Back then, she couldn't care less. Now she's all about trying new things in bed, being adventurous, putting in effort. Truth is, our sex life was never anything earth-shattering, but I enjoyed it. Still, looking back, I can see how much I missed out on. From the texts I saw between her and the other guy, I've only gotten a small glimpse into how wild and explicit things really got. Now she's suddenly trying to prove how deep her love runs. But the truth is, before all this, she was pretty damn lazy about it. And that kind of laziness in bed, it says a lot. Now she gives me space. She's upbeat, supportive, encouraging with anything I do. That wasn't how it used to be. Back then, it was always about her needs, her attention, me providing, me showing up. Now, suddenly, she respects my boundaries, goes out of her way to honor them, even. Now she sees me like I always wished she had, as a king. But it took me knocking her off that pedestal first for her to finally look at me that way. These days, she seems like the perfect woman. But to me, it feels like that perfection might not last. She's wide open with me now, completely transparent about everything going on. She doesn't sugarcoat a thing. Even if the truth stings or makes her look bad, she lays it all out there. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a woman walk around with such a permanent look of guilt on her face. It's like she's constantly wearing shame. She deeply regrets the affair. That much is obvious. I can see it in the way she carries herself, like she's silently punishing herself every single day. And when I shut down or just can't respond to her efforts, I see it hit her hard. Her whole face drops into this look of quiet despair, especially when she's trying so hard to act like everything's fine. Watching her like that sometimes makes me hate myself. But despite that, I still feel like holding this boundary is something I have to do. I keep asking myself, why can't I just take this as a step in the right direction? Why is it so hard to focus on what she's doing now instead of what she did before? Her actions now scream remorse, don't they? Plenty of couples have gone through long-term affairs and come out stronger on the other side, right? So why am I still letting raw emotions steer the ship instead of taking a more clear-headed, mature look at the big picture? Truth is, someone else might get the better, wiser version of her after all this, while I'm out there starting from scratch again with someone new, heading into another unknown. So why am I not fighting for this, especially when so many signs point to a better future together? But then I come back to one thing, the bottom line I can't shake. I won't tolerate disrespect. Maybe in the beginning, right after I found out, I was still in a fog, trying to make sense of everything and willing to put up with more than I should have. But I snapped out of that quick. This is for the folks who've used me and kept checking in, always asking what's going on with me. I'm spending this Christmas surrounded by my whole family, soaking up that time, and once it's over, I'm finally walking away from my wife for good. I've made up my mind to stop feeding into the stories I built in my own head, the ones that kept me under her thumb. I'm done holding on to the illusion of us and ready to fully let go. There won't be any second chances, no trying again, no dating her ever. We're finished and that's final. And look, I don't paint her as some kind of villain because she's really not. I do wish her the best. I hope she finds happiness, truly. I've just come to understand beyond any doubt that it won't be with me. She's made that crystal clear. Earlier today, I actually reached out to another betrayed spouse I connected with during all this. I offered to take her out to dinner sometime after the holidays just to say thanks for being there when I was at my absolute lowest. She said she'd really like that. I know this kind of thing doesn't happen often, but we've leaned on each other through some heavy stuff and I feel like I owe her a little kindness in return. And before anyone starts gossiping about how I've been plotting something with her behind the scenes, let me be straight with you. I haven't. My head and my heart have been so wrecked these past few years that the idea of being with anyone else never even crossed my mind. It's just dinner. Nothing more, unless, down the road, we both decide otherwise. But you know what? The closer I get to this divorce being final, the more I'm starting to see that I do have options. And one of those options has been right in front of me this whole time. As for the other man, I don't give a single damn about him. I'm still deep into reading and learning about infidelity. Not even sure why I keep digging into it, but I guess part of me is still trying to process everything. Even after the divorce, we've had some long conversations before and after it was final. There's been barely any physical contact between us, which I think is for the best. I know I shouldn't be giving her much of my attention these days, but at the end of the day, she's still the mother of my kids. And I really want us to be solid co-parents, even if we couldn't make the marriage work. One thing I'll say about myself, I try to approach all of this with a level head. A lot of that comes from the support and wisdom I've gotten from this community and others like it. Of course, she's saying all the things I've heard before. She wants to fix things, talk about reconciliation, but to me, it just feels too dangerous to open that door again. And honestly, I'm not in the headspace to offer her that kind of gift. Not right now. This past weekend, I had dinner with the other betrayed spouse again. There wasn't any agenda, just two people sharing a meal and enjoying some good conversation. We ended up talking about all kinds of stuff. Somewhere along the way, the mood shifted. Things got pretty flirty, and I'll admit I hesitated. I wasn't sure I was ready for that kind of energy. But yeah, the night took a turn and I won't lie, it ended with some insanely passionate intimacy. Maybe that's a little too much information, but truth is, it was probably the most intense and satisfying experience I've ever had. She's incredibly giving, way beyond anything I ever experienced with my ex. I definitely didn't plan for things to go that far, but it happened because we were both willing in the moment. And man, I learned a few new tricks in the bedroom too, not gonna lie. It was the first time I felt like someone genuinely wanted to please me, not just go through the motions or expect me to do all the work. I know she's not really the other betrayed spouse anymore since she divorced her ex too, but for the sake of keeping things private, I'll stick with that label. As for where things go from here? Honestly, I don't think we'll pursue anything serious. I feel like that night was driven by a mix of emotions and a few too many glasses of wine. She's open to seeing where it goes, but I'm still on the fence. I've got some emotional stuff I need to work through, and I think she does too. That said, I've been feeling surprisingly good lately. Some people probably won't want to hear this, but being with her that night, it helped. A lot. It helped me shake off some of the self-doubt that's been clinging to me since everything fell apart. For the first time in a long time, I felt wanted. I felt alive. And I realized just how much I'd been missing. I'm done settling for anything that feels robotic or empty. And the best part? I didn't cheat. I didn't betray anyone. I held onto my integrity and still found something deeply satisfying in the process. All things considered, I'm actually pretty damn proud of how I've handled everything that got thrown my way. I wasn't perfect, not by a long shot, but I gave it everything I had. Honestly, I think I came out better than a lot of betrayed husbands, even though I did take a financial hit through all this. I lost a good chunk of money, no doubt about that. But the upside? I chose to listen. I leaned on folks who had walked this road before me instead of just stumbling through it on my own, hoping it'd somehow work out. And for that, I'll always be grateful to every single one of you who took time to talk me through the darkest moments. You guys seriously kept me from completely losing myself and trashing what was left of my self-worth. So here are a few key takeaways I've come away with. First off, respect yourself. Always. Never accept disrespect from anyone, no matter how close they are to you. Not your partner. Not your family. No one. Everyone deserves a relationship that's healthy, emotionally fulfilling, and built on real love. Don't ever settle for crumbs. You're worth more than that. A strong relationship should include a good sex life too. If your partner used to give their all to someone else, especially in an affair, but gives you the bare minimum now, that's not okay. I'm not talking about forcing anything or pushing boundaries. What I'm saying is, speak up. If you're not happy, let them know. If they're not willing to meet you halfway, don't just accept a boring, disconnected sex life unless that's something you both agree on. It's okay to walk away if your needs are being ignored. Communication. Seriously, communicate like your life depends on it. It's not just a buzzword, it's the backbone of everything. And finally, if you've been betrayed, know this, the only person who can truly help you heal is you. Took me a long time to really understand that one. There's probably a whole list of other lessons I've picked up along the way, but those are the big ones that come to mind right now. I'll stick around for a bit to reply to any comments or messages you might have. But in a few hours, I'm logging off for good. I'm moving forward with my life and I'm feeling good about it. Thanks again to everyone. Wishing you all the best. Oh, and quick update, things are okay right now. Not perfect, but maybe heading in the right direction. Hey folks, just wanted to check in since I've been getting a bunch of emails from people asking how I'm doing and what's been going on with me lately. To be honest, I've been intentionally keeping my distance from anything related to infidelity. I still get the occasional emotional trigger, and even now, I'm working through the trauma it left behind. I'm not the type to sit around dwelling on the past, so I've stepped away from this site and others like it to focus on moving forward with my life. That said, I know a lot of you have genuinely been concerned, so I figured I'd give you a quick update and put your minds at ease. I'm alright. No accidents, no disappearing act, I'm still here, still standing. I'm still going to individual counseling, and yes, the other betrayed spouse is still my girlfriend. Things between us have been going steady. She recently wrapped up the custody and financial parts of her case with the other man. And I've gotta say, she handled it with a lot of class. She could have easily gone scorched earth and made his life miserable, but she didn't. She chose to handle things maturely and keep the focus on what really matters. Now, I won't lie, there's definitely been some tension between the kids. This whole situation has created some friction and we're doing our best to manage it. We decided to get them into therapy so they can work through their feelings and understand that the relationship between me and my girlfriend doesn't change how much we love and support them. They matter deeply to us and we're trying to make sure we approach this with their well-being in mind. But it hasn't been easy. Not everyone's on the same page. My daughter, for one, she's caught in the middle. And as for my ex and the other man? Yeah, they can't stand to be around each other. The tension between them is real. I honestly believe they each blame the other for how everything fell apart. It's awkward as hell when they're in the same room. There's just this cold, sharp energy that's hard to miss. And yep, my ex still wants another shot. She's probably bitter that I'm finally seeing things clearly, and she sees my girlfriend as the person standing in the way of us getting back together. She's gotten so lost in her own fantasy that I'm starting to worry about the stuff she might try. No joke, she actually pulled something shady at a 4th of July party a buddy of mine was hosting. I shut it down as soon as I saw what was happening, but looking back, I probably wasn't firm enough. I didn't believe it at first when people told me she'd end up pining for me, but y'all were right. She's been trying hard, really hard, to weasel her way back in. My girlfriend, the other betrayed spouse, is letting me handle it how I see fit, but I can tell she's about fed up with my ex too. And I don't blame her. Oh, and I probably don't even need to say this, but yeah, my ex hates my girlfriend with a burning passion. It's wild. For a while, I thought maybe my ex was finally trying to change for the better, but ever since I walked away and chose someone else, she's turned into a complete wreck. That's the part one still don't fully understand. I treated that woman better than I've treated anyone in my life, and she responded by treating me like I was nothing. But now that I've finally said, screw it, I'm done, she's suddenly flipping over backward to get my attention. Part of me doesn't even know how to feel about that. Angry? Confused? Maybe both. Anyway, that's where things stand right now. For those who've been checking in, I appreciate you. You can relax knowing I'm okay. Still, I'm worried about my daughter. That part still weighs on me. Hey everyone. So this is kind of a reset. I'm not new to Reddit, but I am new to this sub. I've been bouncing around trying to find solid resources to help me navigate everything I've been going through. You can scroll through my post history if you want the full picture, but let me give you a quick summary here. My ex-wife had an affair. It lasted close to 48 months. During that time, she wasn't just unfaithful, she was emotionally abusive. She'd constantly compare me to the other man like I was never enough. Our sex life basically tanked, and I did what a lot of people do in that situation. I blamed myself. Thought it was all on me. When I finally uncovered the affair, I didn't immediately pack my bags or make some dramatic exit. But everything shifted one weekend. She lied to me about going out, and I found out she was off having a good time with him. That's when things started to really fall into place. I reached out to the other betrayed spouse, who's now my girlfriend, and together we started the process of divorcing our spouses. We broke the news to our kids in the most age-appropriate way we could. No ugly details, just a simple, honest explanation. Mommy broke a promise to Daddy. We're going to live separately now, but we both still love you very much. They handled it as well as you could hope, all things considered. Of course, they didn't want the divorce to happen, what kid does, but they understood, at least on some level. Ever since, my ex has been pushing hard for reconciliation. But I just didn't have it in me to go back. I forgave her, eventually. I made peace with the fact that what she did wasn't really about me. But the closer we got to finalizing the divorce, the more I knew I needed to move on completely. It was an expensive process, no doubt. But even with the hit to my bank account, the damage could have been way worse. I should also mention that not too long after the divorce was finalized, the other betrayed spouse and I slowly started building something together. At first, it was more of a friends with benefits situation, no expectations, just two hurt people trying to survive the wreckage. But over time, it's grown into something much more real. Honestly, if we hadn't leaned on each other during all that chaos, I might have still been stuck with my cheating ex. Either that or, well, not to be too dark here, but I probably wouldn't be around anymore. Half joking, but still, it got that bad. These days, I make it a point to talk with my kids regularly just to check in and see how they're handling everything. I always keep the door open for honest conversations. If they're uncomfortable with my relationship with OBS, I've told them they can say so, I won't get upset. The last thing I want is to create more emotional baggage for them later down the line. My 9-year-old son? He absolutely adores her. My daughter, who's 12, is taking a little longer to adjust to everything, which I totally get. She's told me she just wants to see me happy and she doesn't feel it's her place to interfere in my relationship. I told her the same thing, I want her to be happy too. And if she ever feels uneasy about OBS, I want her to be honest with me. She says she's okay, just still adjusting, and that's completely fair. We've had a lot of heart-to-heart talks about what healthy relationships look like. I've also had some really deep conversations with her about her fears, her worries, just giving her space to be heard. So far, she's been pretty supportive of me. OBS and I are careful not to put our relationship front and center. We're discreet, especially around the kids, my son, my daughter, and her 2 girls. We don't want to overwhelm anyone, and we're trying to be mindful of how fragile everything still is. And yeah, everyone's in therapy. All of us. Even the other man, though that's a whole separate circus. It's a weird situation, no doubt about that. But I want to circle back to my daughter for a second. The aftermath of the affair and everything that came with it has really messed up her relationship with her mom. She said to me point blank that she hates her. She blames her for everything, for the affair, the divorce, the chaos. She's been pushing back hard. Whenever it's her mom's turn to have her, she sulks. She shrugs off any kind of affection, won't let her in emotionally. One time she even cursed at her, which was the point where I had to step in. I told her she needed to be respectful, and to her credit, she did back down that time. Still, there's been plenty of arguing between the 2 of them. And it honestly worries me. The toll this has taken on her is a lot deeper than I think anyone expected. My ex-wife's doing what she can to fix things with our daughter, but there's only so much she can manage on her own. She's asked me to step in and help rebuild their relationship since, in her mind, I'm the one who pulled the plug on the marriage. And yeah, I could throw the affair back in her face, say, this is all on you. Because, honestly, it is, but I don't. I'm trying to be better than that. Still, it does make me second-guess how I've handled everything. There are a few things weighing on me right now. Asterisk, my daughter has 0 respect for her mother. Asterisk, she's told me she wishes things could go back to how they were before everything blew up. Asterisk, she doesn't know about the abuse I went through, how her mom treated me behind closed doors. Asterisk, she's in therapy, but I'm not sure it's helping as much as we hoped. Asterisk, I worry that she feels like she has no say, no control, and it's just too much for her to carry. Asterisk, she's been great about my relationship with OBS, but I can't help wondering if she's hiding how she really feels. Asterisk, and yeah, part of me fears I might have messed up my kids' lives by divorcing their mom. But I can't go back to that toxic relationship. I won't. Still, if anyone out there has any advice, I genuinely appreciate it. Update. Hey everyone. I know a bunch of you have been worried and I've seen the messages and chat requests. Sorry I haven't replied, I'm just not that active on here anymore. But I know some of you still checking on me and I want to give you a proper update. Just a heads up, this isn't some fairy tale ending. So, how are things with me and OBS? Honestly, we're doing fantastic. If I had known a woman like her existed sooner, I probably would have gone looking for her years ago. Seriously. She's everything I never knew I needed. And look, I'm not trying to bash my ex, but after everything she put me through, I really had no idea what a healthy relationship even looked like. I doubted myself constantly. But OBS? She's helped me heal. She's been patient, supportive, loving, just solid. I'm head over heels for this woman. We're still keeping things pretty low-key. Still just calling her my girlfriend even though the connection runs deep. I'm not totally sold on the idea of marriage again, once burned, you know? And while the relationship is serious, we're still being mindful with the kids. We're keeping them out of the middle of it as much as possible. That said, yeah, they know we're dating. It's not a secret, just not center stage either. As for the kids? Man, it was rocky at first, who am I kidding? But now? They're getting along really well. I think a lot of that comes down to how involved we've been. We made sure they always had someone to talk to, someone who'd actually listen when they were struggling. Plus therapy? Lots of therapy. My daughter and son absolutely adore OBS. She's just got this way with kids, it's kinda amazing. And her girls? They like me way more now than they did nearly 48 months ago. Her youngest even started introducing me as her stepdad at events and family stuff I've taken her to. That caught me way off guard. I was worried she felt pressured into that label, but she told me straight up, I like you a lot. You make my mom happy, so I'm happy you're my stepdad. Man, I wasn't ready for that. It hit me like a freight train, just boom. But I held it together. Kinda. And seeing our kids all laughing and playing together? It's the kind of thing I never thought I'd get to experience again. Although, side note, they've formed this little alliance just to relentlessly tease my son. Poor kid's the only boy and the youngest, so he's definitely outnumbered. Not sure whether to laugh or feel sorry for him. Now, what about my cheating ex-wife? We're actually on decent terms now. She's been working really hard on her own to repair her relationship with our daughter. And when my daughter told me she was starting to forgive her mom for what happened, that was a moment. A big one. They've both been through hell these past few years, and it's good to see them slowly rebuilding something. That said, I still don't think my ex has fully accepted that we're over. Like, really over. She still drops these little hints every now and then, like maybe there's hope for a second chance. She's been hitting the gym, staying in therapy, and yeah, she's doing better. Healthier for sure. But honestly, I don't really care. I've made my peace with everything. Whether she does or not, that's her baggage, not mine. Funny enough, she and OBS talk more these days. OBS is polite, but definitely keeps her guard up, which, after everything, makes total sense. And honestly, I trust OBS's instincts on this stuff more than my own sometimes. As for OM? Total lost cause. I had no idea how much of a train wreck that guy was. Dude's got money but no common sense. He's dating someone new now, but even his own kids can't stand her, and they're not shy about saying it either. Took me a while to see just how full of himself he really was. His girlfriend? Ugh. Comes off like she's only there for the money. Selfish, cold, materialistic, just not someone I'd ever want around my own kids. So yeah, in conclusion, we're doing better than okay. Don't get me wrong, I had my doubts. There were nights I laid awake thinking, am I screwing all this up? But with everyone putting in the work, real effort, it's all turning out way better than I could have hoped. Not some fairy tale ending, but you know what? I'm happy. Like, really happy. So yeah, that's where we're at. You can all relax now.